So go to those websites of the companies that I just listed. You can also go to LinkedIn and just type in clinical research associate. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're not already subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications so that you never miss a video. Today I'm going to be talking about clinical research associates. If you do not follow me on TikTok, you should. I have been talking a lot about the pharmaceutical, biotech, health tech, what to do with just your bachelor's, what to do with your public health degree, what to do with your MPH, how to enter the industry, and also just sharing different tips and tricks, different career rules that I personally live by, how I navigate in corporate America. As I've said in my other videos on my TikTok, I share more of just what comes to mind, and it won't always make it to the YouTube platform. So if you want to see more content by me, make sure you're following me on my TikTok. Something else I wanted to mention was I've always been talking about regulatory affairs. I have been doing a lot of videos on different FDA guidances and regulations and understanding how to apply those in clinical research and development. And now I want to branch off into other departments. We've covered epidemiology and different parts of public health. Of course, I'm going to continue to go in detail as you all request those type of videos. But I want to dive more into different roles in clinical research and development. The first role that we're going to start with is a clinical research associate. So make sure you stick around and watch the entire video. So what is a CRA? CRA stands for Clinical Research Associate. A clinical research associate has a lot of responsibilities, but generally they're responsible for setting up, coordinating, and overseeing clinical studies. Now, don't confuse a CRA with a medical monitor. Medical monitors are still overseeing patients within the study, speaking and coordinating and engaging with different investigators across clinical sites to ensure patient safety. But a CRA is going to be working with various clinical staff to ensure the studies are being run per protocol. The sites are essentially in tip-top shape. If you're interested in pursuing a CRA job, you might see ICH a lot in job descriptions. CRAs have to be well-versed in ICH guidelines, and essentially what ICH stands for is International Council of Harmonization. A lot of the different health authorities, such as the EMA and FDA, Health Canada, abide by ICH guidelines, especially when it comes to GCP, which stands to Good Clinical Practice. If you're interested in being a CRA, more often than not, when you're going into an entry-level job, your company's going to train you. They're going to train you up on ICH, they're going to train you up on GCP, they're going to train you up on HIPAA, they're going to train you up on confidentiality, and they'll train you up on various other things such as medical terminology, different documents you'll be handling, who to speak with when you're on site, or how to maintain study documentation in general. How I see CRAs are kind of like Big Brother. If you've ever seen the show Big Brother, if not, I feel like I've just aged myself. A CRA is going to be the center person overseeing everything that's happening and coordinating with the different parties. So they'll be coordinating with the clinical research coordinator, with the sub-Is, which is a sub-investigator, the principal investigator, also known as PI. If you work for a CRO, you might also be coordinating with a sponsor, which is normally a pharmaceutical company. In addition to that, you could be corresponding with ethics communities, pharmacists who are also a part of the study. I always find it so funny when people kind of just assume that pharmacists aren't involved in the clinical research and development process because we're so used to seeing retail pharmacists at CVS. Pharmacists are still very so needed in the clinical research and development process. And I'm not even talking about regulatory affairs and clinical affairs. When the CRA, goes to this clinical site, and you conduct your SQV, which is a site qualification visit, as I said, and it's a visit to assess whether or not that clinical study is able to perform the clinical activities required per the study protocol. You're going to investigate and inspect multiple areas, and the pharmacy is one of them. If you have a specific type of drug, biologic, that needs to be stored in specific conditions, let's just say, I don't know, a freezer or something like that, or there needs to be enough shelving for the amount of patients that may be at that site and how much drug that patient is going to need for the duration of the study, you need to make sure that there's an equipped pharmacist to perform those duties. You need to make sure the hospital has a pharmacy or the site has a pharmacy to execute those duties. Other duties that a CRA would perform outside of just qualifying those clinical sites, you're also going to perform the site initiation, which is also known as a SIV, site initiation visit. With an initiation visit, you're initiating that site, making sure that it's ready to actually begin the study like tomorrow. A lot of times what goes with the site initiation is training. There's training that has to happen with the investigators. You have to train people up on those protocols, and CRAs may perform those responsibilities. There's different levels of CRA, CRA 1, 2, 3, just like in different roles. You're gonna have associate manager and senior. Depending on the company that you were in, they may require you to be more senior to perform those training visits, but that is something else that CRAs do. Additionally, you're gonna be monitoring the sites. You're gonna be doing visits to ensure that patient documentation is accurate and compliant. You're gonna be making sure these sites are abiding by regulations. And if there's anything that you see, as I said, your big brother, if there's anything that's out of the norm, that seems odd, you're gonna raise that issue to the sponsor. If there's anything with the documentation that seems like there's a lot of deviations and things seem odd, you're gonna raise that issue to the sponsor. So in closing, for what your roles and responsibilities are for a CRA, keep in mind, as I said, you are the clinical big brother. You are the eyes and ears on the ground for the sponsor. You are making sure things are in tip-top shape. When you're doing your site qualification visit, if you see something that's a little off or that kind of rubbed you the wrong way, if you feel like this clinical site can't run the study per protocol, you raise that to the sponsor, and the sponsor will make the ultimate decision whether or not they feel they should go forth with that clinical site for whatever reasons they have. But as the CRA, it's your responsibility to speak up. Same thing with the initiation visit. If you felt like the trainings didn't go well and another training needs to be done to ensure patient safety, that's your responsibility. A CRA is a very, very, very important job, because you are the glue. You are ensuring that things are being done correctly. Of course, there's going to be regulatory. Of course, there's going to be quality control. And of course, there's going to be clinical research coordinators. Something I think people need to understand in clinical research is that there's so many checkpoints of regulations and compliance to ensure patients are safe. So in having regulatory quality, a CRA and CRC, across every checkpoint, there's going to be some sort of oversight in making sure things are done the right way. If I didn't get an opportunity in regulatory affairs, I definitely think I would have become a CRA. Some things I want to highlight about being a CRA is, if you're really interested in patient interaction, may not be the job for you because you don't interact with patients. Highly unlikely that you would ever interact with patients. If you do want to interact with patients, being a clinical research coordinator may be better for you. And I'm going to make another YouTube video on what a clinical research coordinator is and how to pursue those opportunities, similar to the format of this video. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Other things about being a CRA is it's a very exhausting job, because if you are a traveling CRA, you could be flying, like let's say you're assigned the West Coast. You could be flying to sites all up and down the West Coast, all the way from Oregon down to San Diego, California. That can put a lot of wear and tear on someone's bodies. Maybe you don't want to travel all the time. I say it's similar to being a traveling nurse. You're up and down all over the place all the time, and it does just take a toll on people. But what's great about that is you get exposure to different doctors, different clinical studies, whether it's phase 1, 2, 3, or 4. It does allow for you to advance in clinical research and development more quickly than other roles, I'll say. Someone who's a CRA is probably getting more exposure than someone who's just in quality assurance. Makes sense. You could find a local CRA position, so maybe you're only assigned to like Los Angeles and you oversee all the clinical sites in Los Angeles. That could be UCLA Harbor, USC. I'm just naming literally 2 that just came off the top of my head, but there are so many clinical sites in just one concentrated city. So it's definitely an opportunity for you to be a local CRA, and you're just driving from site to site. CRAs make a lot of money, okay? The national average as of June 22nd, 2022 for a CRA was $99,700. So let's just round up and say about $100,000. I think that with the demand of what is required of a CRA, it makes sense that they're compensated that much. Most CRAs start out with just a bachelor's degree. It's a great job for entry level. And I say that because a lot of the people who I have reported to in the past in regulatory started out as a CRA. There's someone I know who was a CRA for like 10 years. Now she works for herself as a consultant in clinical operations. She just takes on contracts and only works for herself. I know another person who is a director at a large pharmaceutical company, and I know another person who's an associate director in regulatory. Those 2 people are in regulatory at a large pharmaceutical company. So being a CRA for 2 years opens the door to plenty of opportunity. And remember, you're interacting with regulatory, quality, clinical research coordinators. So It kind of gives you a good path forward on branching into other areas should you choose to. Who employs CRAs? Generally, pharmaceutical companies and CROs employ CRAs. I can tell you right now, if you haven't seen my other CRO video, if you work for a CRO, as I said before, you're going to be tired. You're working for a CRO, your workload is crazy, and you might get burnt out sooner than you anticipate. I guess if I could use the phrase high risk, high reward, you're putting a lot in, but the outcome is going to be great in the end. All in all, I think being a CRA is a great opportunity for anyone. I think it really gives entry-level undergrads who are just finishing school an opportunity to break into clinical research and development. I think it gives people who are nurses or people working in a lab an opportunity to also get into the industry if they're not able to just directly find that regulatory, medical affairs, pharmacovigilance opportunity. So many people contact me and say, I don't think I'm qualified, I don't think I'm qualified. I've seen so many CRA jobs in the past 2-3 months that have said 0 years of experience. All you need is a bachelor's. We'll train you and teach everything. We'll teach you what you need to be taught. If you're wondering where to look for a CRA job right now, Syneos, PPD, Icon Health, Premier Research, they're always hiring. Their workload, the amount of work and clients that they have from overseas is actually insane. So go to those websites of the companies that I just listed. You can also go to LinkedIn and just type in clinical research associate. Filter it by experience level, put entry level, go down that whole list. I guarantee you, you're going to see thousands of jobs. I hope you found this video useful. Remember to leave comments down below if you have any suggestions of videos you want to see. If there's any job titles you want me to talk about next, comment them down below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, guys, and follow me on TikTok. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.